Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Where are you currently?
Sitting in some blades of grass in the middle of Los Angeles.
All right, look at you.
Nice, a nice
From
morning
the
over here. It's like 5 a.m.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you for making the time. I
so glad.
appreciate it.
I'm so glad, so glad to
I'm
have
hap-
you.
yeah, happy we made it. It's quite difficult with the time difference.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Um, and I think the funny part is too, like I planned, I got 8 hours of sleep, but I got the shades on because my eyes be baggy when I wake up still. I was like,
I thought so. When you said 5 a.m., I was like, okay, that's why the things are out.
but this is how we gonna do it today.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine.
Um, how are you? You just came off of you went to a concert?
Yesterday, yeah, Thames.
Oh, how
Thames,
was it? Oh my goodness.
the Nigerian singer.
Yeah, how was it?
It was awesome.
Wow.
It was my first time seeing an African female fill out that space here in Berlin. So I feel like there's a change in the air, and I'm very happy to be like present to be able to witness it.
That's cool.
It's about time, and it's very necessary somehow. It never happened because I don't know why Germany just wasn't on the plan, right? Like they would come to France, to England, of course, but
Right, on
not
the
so.
tour circuit.
Yeah, so we had Burna Boy last year, and he just filled up the O2 Arena, which is like a huge song, And I think
Mm.
now, like they're like starting to understand that there's actually a market for like African artists, so it's
Mm.
slowly changing.
The
Yeah.
meaning the market in Berlin for it, or
Yes,
in Germany for it, in Germany.
yes, and Berlin is of course the most obvious choice.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, so it's changing. It's so like about time. Like I grew up here, right? So for me, it was just like,
Yeah, talk about that. How did you, growing up in Berlin, how did you end up there?
well, I didn't even grow up in Berlin. I grew up in Karlsruhe, which is like a little town down south.
Hmm.
And with my mom, my mom did her PhD here in Germany. And she then got married and brought us. Like, I have two older brothers. So we all came to Germany with
Nice.
her. Yeah. I was 11, so like around 1999, something like that. Yeah.
Wow. So the small town you said you were down south. What was it called again?
Karlsruhe.
Wow. Okay. Was
Yeah.
that a creative? Was that like a artistic town at all, or cultural, like a culturally and exuberant town?
No, not at all. Not at all. It was one of those typically very German, very conservative. Um, and it was before internet, right? So there was
Mhm.
not even like, let me check out what other people are doing in other cities.
Right.
Um, so it was not. But I guess because I'm African and I'm Cameroonian and I was already 11, so I knew that music is just part of who I am.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you're 11. Wow, you're 11 growing up in uh Germany before the internet, before all of this connectivity. Like, um, when did you like start to know what you wanted to explore as an artist?
Well, to be honest, I never thought I could be an artist. My mom, a single mom of three children, African, so her making the most miraculous move
Hmm.
to bring here, that was not on the forefront, becoming an artist. You have to become engineer, something serious. Um, and so I always felt like this is not the path for me. I just, you know. So I study pedagogy in Münster because I was like, okay, let me at least like have children around, you know, to have it soft and easy. And I would still like do a lot of like art-based project,
Right.
even in my studies. And then I started doing music while I was studying with a friend from Jamaica back then.
Nice.
And we were called Rising Thoughts. So I was on the guitar, she was on the drum, and we would do poetry, spoken word, and
Where
stuff like that. And very much influenced by Afro-American culture, right? Def Jam poetry was big back then.
yo, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
So we listened to everything on YouTube, and we were just very much in love with seeing like Black people owning the stage, you know, owning their feelings and everything from anger to love to confusion, frustrations. You know, we did not have a lot of role models, Black role models, like not have at all. Like there were none, like especially back then, right?
right.
So it was definitely like a tryout, and we were one of the first female band to do something like that. Um, and that's where it started, basically. I was studying, but I was having some concert here and there. And then when my study finished, I had two choices. I could get a job here and just settle, or, which I chose to do, I could just travel and still do music, which I decided to do. So
Right.
I went,
Right.
yeah, I went to Canada, where my brother was staying at the time, Toronto.
Mm.
And I lived there for a little bit. And it was a beautiful experience, really. Canada was very soft. I think it was a very soft landing because there was like a lot of
Mm.
immigrants, also from the Caribbean and from Africa. And I felt very much like, okay, maybe Germany could be something like that in like 10, 15 years, you know?
That's what you were thinking. You were thinking that back
Yeah,
then. Wow.
yeah, back then already, because you know there were like Black people being creative on project, doing things, and I got to be part of it, and it really inspired me because there was not so much going on here in Germany.
Mm.
Only like Black History Month, so every February, you know, all around the country there was some little organizations,
That would do
which
something.
huh?
And they would try to do something for Black History Month.
Yes, that was our main gig, to be honest. Like in February, we would get booked. Really, like we would actually travel Germany a little bit.
That's fire.
Um, but that was not enough. I was like, yeah, you know. So after being in Toronto, seeing that, I left to live in Jamaica with her. She was from Jamaica and she was in Jamaica at the time.
Mm.
Uh, we both decided to leave Germany because obviously we just felt like, where the Black people, where the Black people at, you
Yeah.
know? So I went to my brother in Toronto. She went to Jamaica, Kingston, and then winter came in in Canada, and I was like, hell no.
Yeah. Nah. Nah.
That winter be serious. It was cold. So I was,
Wow.
yeah, it was too rough. So I was like, sorry, I cannot do it. So I went with her and we toured Jamaica. We did music. We visited like a lot of festival. We tried to be invited to some Mutabaruka, you know,
Mm.
very inspiration. He was there at the time, also having a festival. We played there. And I was very much into veganism and the whole just self-healing
Mm.
process, which I'm still on, but that time was very, very strong because I just felt like I had a lot of fear, anxiety, and I did not know how to handle them.
Mm.
So the Rastafari movement came and just really saved me along with music.
Did you feel there
Yeah.
was did you feel there was like an embrace?
Yes, it was beautiful to be in Jamaica at the time, coming from Africa. I was just like, wow, you're from the continent, man. Bro, I
Right.
really love. And it was very much healing because in Germany, growing up here was more like Okay, you're from Africa, so you have lions, right? You live in trees, like literally. I had to deal with that. At the
Mm,
time, there was no internet, so people barely knew anything except for the UNICEF images of the starving African child, you know?
hmm
So being in them in Jamaica, having that love and having music, having just Jamaica. Jamaica is just nice.
The food, the community.
The
Yeah.
community, the
Yeah.
music, and also, of course, the empowerment, the Black empowerment,
Right.
um, with the Rastafari movement and everything that came along, Bob Marley, of course, it's still very much alive there. At least back then, it was very much like a safe haven. It felt like a safe haven being a Black
Mm,
person. Well, yeah. So then I came back to Germany and I was like, okay, let me try this out. But it didn't last long. I was like,
yeah.
after like, I think 2 years, I was like, no, I don't even think, maybe one or I was like, I can't. So I left and went back to Cameroon and decided to live there,
Mm.
basically, I stayed there for like 5, 6 years.
No way.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So that's so interesting because I remembered seeing posts of you playing the guitar early on, and
Yes.
I think you had spoke about that actually, yeah, like early, like playing, like just musicianship. So when did you discover, or maybe you already had discovered it at the time, but when did you have the language and you start to really explore like more experimental and the hybrid digital, a lot of the sound art? Where did that get introduced into your process?
In Cameroon, actually.
Yeah.
So before that, I was a guitar player, as you said, acoustic, poetry, singer-songwriter vibe. And then I got to Cameroon and the acoustic guitar was just not strong enough. Like country is just loud. It's like bubbling, like especially Yaoundé, the capital.
Hmm.
It's just,
The
so I just
sounds of the actual place itself.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
like the place, just people, people living, moving, cars, like Africans, metropole be hectic.
Yeah. Wow. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine.
So it was very intense. So I was like, okay, the acoustic guitar is not doing it. So I started. Um, I was fortunate enough to live in my mom's house. So she had a house. She still has a house in Yaoundé.
Mm,
So I was living there and renting out a room, which gave me enough income to basically just study music. So
right.
online, Music Berkeley School, I did computer programming
Mm,
class where I learned about Ableton. And that's where the love kind of started because I was like, wow, what can I do? This is amazing.
yeah.
I don't need a bed. I can be my own freaking bed.
Yo, yeah. Wow.
So
So
I was,
you were studying online at the UC Berkeley.
yeah, yes, in Cameroon with electricity shortage and everything that goes along with it, you
Wow.
know? And so I learned about instruments, also YouTube tutorials, synthesizers. And when I was traveling back to Europe, I bought synthesizers and my equipment because also in Cameroon, you barely can find anything of quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my mom bought me a recording device back then. And I just started recording people and noise because the city gave me so much already. I felt like I didn't even need to add up so much.
Right.
Um,
It's all just
yeah,
here.
exactly. In comparison to here, where here it was just so quiet, especially coming from Yaoundé as a child, I was like, you just have to talk like so quiet, you
Wow.
know?
I'm
Yeah.
curious about that. I'm curious about like, because I feel like maybe you're right, like there's so much context that people don't have because it's like we're so far distance wise, and you see these pictures like with the internet now it's a lot easier. But I can imagine back then, like the difference from going to Cameroon to Germany and all these places, all these environments, and what that's feeling like for you as you explore like your own sense of belonging, identity, like
Yes.
it's so informative. It's so informative, and I can imagine it being like what were some of the things that kept you grounded and like just helped you like really feel confident or safe, moving through these times,
Yeah.
like
I
in
guess
your early processes. Yeah.
I think the fact that I was in Jamaica before and I felt so much love and understanding for who I was as a person, because I always felt like the weird one. But of course, it was related to the fact that I was the only African child in almost my whole school. I think we were like five, you know? So I felt always like, okay, maybe my idea not so important or my way of thinking, because also of this image that is portrayed of Africa, right? Of
Right.
like not developed and whatsoever. So when I got to Jamaica, I felt the love and understanding of like, oh, you're from the continent, you
Yeah, they
know?
like, oh yeah, you tapped in.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know? So I felt like, okay, there must be something there. Like I cannot, I'm
Mm,
not lost, so to speak.
mm,
So I um I felt like being in that environment of music and healthy food and just Black people really intentionally loving on each other. It helped me a lot because when I went back to Cameroon, it was not the case. It was a different type of vibe. It's a capital, so everybody's just hustling, running, and just trying to make it. You know. So the fact that I had my mom's house, I could retrieve, I can
mm.
just learn. I had like a small garden in her house, so I would like plant things and just being in that whole process of seeing things grow and learning about patience and it just I was self-taught, even the guitar. I taught myself playing the
No
guitar.
way. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So that felt natural to also learn about synthesizer and all the those, you know. Um, so I always felt like I can do this. It came from that place of like I've
Mm,
taught myself the guitar, I've been on stage, I've been traveling the world. So that confidence kind of like came together while being in Cameroon.
mm.
And the fact, of course, that I was also in Cameroon after so many years, it's just like, it felt like home. I was
That's
like,
like, yeah,
okay.
it's a part of you. Yeah. And I love that you mentioned how busy the city is, like the capital. I remember when I first discovered some of your work, it was like I was listening to a lot of your early SoundCloud posts. And I'm
Mm,
wondering, like when I think about some of those, that has to have been some of the same sounds you were finding back then. I was digging like some of the old SoundCloud posts and like, yeah, like you can hear just like elements of real city, real people, like movement.
yeah.
What does sound help you articulate? And like those feelings, those thoughts, like what is it that sound is articulating that you think maybe when you were doing poetry, it was a little different?
Well, it helped me include more people because, like I said, I was recording people, also like languages I didn't understand, and just reworking into tracks.
Yeah.
So it helped me to be a one-woman band, but at the same time feeling like I have the whole city with me, like feeling like the
Wow.
ancestors there, because I will play with the samples and you know, and I felt like I was in conversation with all those energies, which I still very much value because
Mm.
being alone, traveling, doing these concerts, it's actually a very solitary process, right?
Right.
The only is the stage with the many people, but actually like the whole process of working on a song, traveling to a concert, and then after concert being in a hotel room, it's actually very solitary. So
Hmm.
the fact I was able to incorporate like my family history, like I recorded my dad who passed away last year, for example. That recording is very dear to me. Also, now it's like, wow, I recorded him.
Yeah, you got that piece. Like,
Yes, yeah.
oof,
And
I feel that. I feel that.
yeah, and he was explaining. things in our native language, which is Iton to me, and I recorded that and I turned it into a track, which I still love to listen, So I feel very fortunate to have been on that path because I was able to like start a sort of archive, basically, right? Of people who are dying, library. That's what they say, right? When the elders die, it's like a whole library burns. That's like a African saying. So
Ooh, yeah.
that, yeah, I felt very much like I was nurturing myself, my soul, and my path, and my also like retracing my heritage. Yeah.
Because your parents now, tell me about your parents. Were they, because you said your mom had moved to Germany to receive her PhD. Um,
Yes.
were they also from, like, they were born and raised in Cameroon?
Yes. Both of
What
my
did,
parents were born and raised there. Yeah.
wow. What was there? Do you remember a little bit of what their upbringing was like? Were they creative people?
Oh, our mom loved to tell about that story, like every good African mother, like how she used to suffer and walk miles to
Yeah.
school,
And
you
walk to
know,
school with no shoes or something like.
no shoes, exactly,
My
no
grandmother,
shoes.
my grandmother's favorite story is walking to school with no shoes. She loves telling that
Yeah,
story.
yes, my mom too. Like she got her first pair of shoes when she was 7,
Right.
you know, like those type of stories which are like I could not relate before going back to Cameroon. So I really had to go back and see and be like, whoa, that's true. Like literally, no
Mm,
streets. Like she had to walk miles to fetch water, but also to school.
yeah.
And it was just like a different world from Germany, right? So it was very much necessary. My dad never studied. Um, and he still managed to be like this great businessman. And
Mm,
he was an engineer, with somebody that did not go to like, he didn't have baccalaureate. I don't know what you call it in English, like high school diploma, I think.
yeah, yeah. High school diploma
Yeah, he didn't
or
even
like your
get,
degree.
yes, it was
Wow.
just, yeah, so it was like crazy different. So I felt also like knowing about that history made me like realize how fortunate I am and I was at the
Mm,
time, especially because I felt very much misunderstood and
mm,
wrongly placed growing up in Germany, just weird.
yeah.
And so hearing the stories, going through that whole process of like recording people and listening to it and just feeling like I felt the love, like being back in Cameroon, that house especially,
Hmm.
with my little garden and the solitude. And I just felt like, okay, this life, I could still shape it into something that I wanted, you
Mm,
know? Yeah.
right. Absolutely. You mentioned solitude, and I feel like that's something a lot of artists, like, we understand, but maybe a lot of people don't understand um, how important, but also how difficult that solitude can be navigating sometimes. Can you speak to just like some of the ways you find balance, especially because it's like we're used to seeing music industries, art industries typically um, dominated by males, white males. So for you, you started so young, like you started like like, and it seemed like you were like always, like I hear you saying you were self-taught, doing your own strategy, your own booking, your own. So how did you find and maintain balance navigating through these industries, and still today even?
Yeah, I was just about to say it's still a process, to be honest. I'm fortunate today to be able to travel professionally to the continent now, regular, which is just, it's giving me life each time. I just came back Sunday from Congo. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, never been there before. So it was, and 1 month ago, 2 months in May, I was in Senegal, in Dakar also for work, which is like, wow, I just feel very much like, okay, this little process of rediscovering my heritage and myself has shaped this amazing life that I now
Mhm.
get this, I get paid to do this. My mom still doesn't know really. She doesn't understand what I'm doing. Like, And they are paying for you and your daughter to go to Africa. Are you serious? And I'm like, yes, ma'am. Yes. That's what is happening.
But that's incredible. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
it is. It is. And I like to remind myself of the process. And I'm very grateful for this exchange, for example, because it just sometimes you just get caught up on next thing, next thing, next thing.
Yeah.
And you forget
Yeah.
how far you have come and what it took for you to be there. And I think that in terms of balance, I like nature a lot. I do
Mhm.
work with electronic, but I really like my little like walking in the park, yoga
Yeah.
when I can, stretching, meditating. I do a lot of breath work because I realize also like the intensity when you work with electronic, the fact that, and it's probably because I come from like acoustic instrument, right, guitar,
Mhm.
but in electronic it never stops. So it gives you a beat, and that be like it, you also get into the pressure of like constantly being there.
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
you have to really much like reel yourself back in after you work with electronic instrument. That's at least my understanding of it. Like I need to like playing with synthesizers and loop and all those good things. Also, like it triggered a part of me that is like never, how do you say that? Like never fully satisfied,
I,
maybe, but that's how
that's what I was
like,
feeling. Yeah. Yeah.
hungry. You're hungry constantly. Like
Yeah.
let me,
You just want to
and
keep going.
yes, and I think that's because of the instrument also. The guitar, what I use, that's why I love the guitar still today. Like the strings has a lot of air. Like you play one note and then you can manipulate the one note.
Right.
Depends how you put your finger on it. It will sound different. The same note will sound completely different.
Hmm.
And you have more control on it. But on the
Mhm.
synthesizer, for example, yeah, you can still shape the sound yourself. But I guess the fact that you don't just take off your, I don't know, this thing that forces you like, the instrument can still go on. So also me, I can still go on.
Yes.
So it's very important to find peace in the process of making music, especially electronic music. It gives you a hunger that on the long run, I think is not good as an artist. It might be good to start with that hunger, but I think on the long run, you have to find ways to be nourished
Mm.
without the music. Yeah.
That's important. It
Yeah.
that makes me think of how many times we can arrive at this idea or this feeling and we cannot explore it or see it all the way through because we get stuck in such technical aspects of
Mhm.
creating. Um, and just like, yeah, that need to return to self and like step away, recharge, you know what I'm saying? Go
Yeah.
let the sun hit me, go let some water hit me. Cause you're right, like sometimes I literally will just feel so mechanical. Even
Yes.
even when I leave the instrument, I'm still in this place of like
Yeah. The sound.
it just doesn't leave. Yeah. It keeps
Yes.
going. Um,
Yes.
and you speak on breath work and meditation and these electronics, it is energy that's always moving through them and whatnot. And I always think about that, like, yeah, like when do I just put that like grounding up and like Um, so yeah, also, how did you get into like a lot of your breath work, meditation, the body work, you're a massage therapist as well. Like I think a lot of people could benefit, a lot of creatives could benefit from knowing how that body, that keep that body work, that breath work, that stuff does really help you.
Yes, definitely. It was especially after I gave birth to my daughter, which was end of 2018. I knew that I have to go back to doing music in a way that feels wholesome. Like with the guitar. The guitar was very nourishing. It was nourishing my soul. The electronic was motivated. like it was motivation just because of what we just talked about, the fact that it just constantly goes. So you're like, okay, let me also go, like, you know?
Yeah.
So it was important to find the balance between the two for me. So I understood that I have to involve more my body and less my head into the process of making music. And that's why massage came in, and also learning healthy ways to like take care of myself and the people that I love.
Yes, absolutely. That's beautiful. Um, you know, that makes me think, you know, talk about the vibe of Germany, the energy, the you know, like I'm sure you know you know the history of Germany, and I think a lot of people we know the history, but sometimes certain histories get overshadowed. Like there's a lot of beauty that's come out of Germany too, in the cold, in the you know the art, the avant-garde artists, the Kurt Schwitters, you know. Uh,
Mhm.
where what kind of inspiration did you find in Germany? But so that, you know, it might not, even if it came from maybe some of the darker moments or the cooler moments, um, what kind of inspiration did you find growing up in the city?
Well, I never wanted to relate to Germany. I really had like an aversion. I was like, this ain't my people, whatever. I'm just growing up here, and then as soon as I get the opportunity, I'm be out.
Right,
You know?
right.
But then I got to Cameroon, and there I was seen as a German. I was actually called German because I was taught I speak perfectly German, and I also a few of my friends work at like German institutions, so we would hang around and talk German. So my friends there, my Cameroonian friend, were also like, "Yeah, you're the German girl," which I was like, "Nah." You know, I just for a long time I was still struggling with that, and then I realized that it's a major advantage. So, what are German known for in the public eye? Very squarish thinking, very time oriented, very
Yeah,
precise. You
yeah.
know, so I started using that for my music, to be honest. So that's where also the electronic came in, because that was the same time. Like I was
Ah,
starting to learn electronic music in Cameroon, where I was seen not as Cameroonian, but as German. I
wow.
was like,
That is
let me
so
just
cool.
use that. Let me just use that. Like
Yeah,
I'm gonna use that. Okay, I'm gonna be the African German girl that knows her shit. You know, that is
yeah.
very meticulous about things and how she wants things to sound. So it very much helped me. Also, being away from Germany, it created some time of longing for Germany, obviously, because I had spent like more than 10 years here. And all of a
Mm,
sudden I was
yeah.
gone from it, which I always wanted, but I was still like kind of missing it, you know? There's
Oh,
a, there's a certain comfort in knowing things, just knowing like schedules, and which in the
yeah.
African context does not exist.
Right.
You know? It's just like, we just go handle it however.
Whenever it's
Just go with
done,
the
then we'll
flow.
start the next.
Exactly. You know, so there was a kind of security that I missed in terms of like being prepared and things. And I
Mm,
think that also plays a lot in how I then interact with music, you know. I was very meticulous about my instrument. You have to be. You have to know your
yeah.
instrument. Electronic does not play, you know, you have to know the knobs, you have to understand, you have to know, have your cable ready when you go, you know, all that,
Right.
those little things. So I think that being also having German knowledge or heritage, may I say, even because of just like the culture also was in me after like spending a very important time, which was like puberty here.
Yeah.
Uh, I caught on a lot of things, which help also shape the way I navigate my art and my
Mm.
music. Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. I really, it's really awesome to hear you share about that because I feel one, like, you know, the people, I think what I've noticed of, you know, like me being from the States, me being first generation of Belizean immigrants, you know, there's a lot of there's a lot of context that I've had to discover on my own for connecting with the continent of Africa, connecting with electronic music, connecting with the histories of being a performance artist, and
Yeah.
uh, I think it's so beautiful to hear like a lot of your stories. It's because when it gives so much context to the feelings and thoughts that have arisen in me listening to you. And I've only experienced your work from afar. And like this, the work that we do is something to experience in person. It's never the
It,
same. It's never
it's
the
never the,
same. You know, it's never the
it's
same when you watch a video or you listen back. Um,
yeah.
Wow, I'm curious, like how do you define sound art and how do you define your practice, with working as a musician, as an artist?
I do feel more like a sound artist. I love this idea of shaping sound, um, especially because it's invisible material, right? And then to get to be able to mold it into what I wanted, or sometimes not even what I want, but into something else.
Hmm.
I feel I feel very godly, if I may say so.
Mm.
Like it's very powerful. So being able to do that, and also like the work that I've been doing recently with the archive, with museums and everything, I feel like I'm stepping into spaces that I would normally haven't if I would have stuck with the guitar and the concert.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was able to be like doing this weird thing of like recording strangers on the streets in Cameroon, and shaping into something else. Now I get to like work with museum and with the archive material that they have been having. Like last year in January, I did an exhibition in Cameroon where I played the eldest recording, the most old recording from Cameroon that were here in Germany in the Musicboard-Forum. So I did an installation and we played around, and it was so moving. A lot of people were like, "What? These are like my ancestors," and like they were really, really, really touched by it. And I felt like in that moment, I felt like, okay, this is what I need to do because I'm literally
Mm.
between countries, right? I'm in Germany and I'm also in Cameroon. And at the same time, I can just step in places in Germany where most of my people would have never entered, because of the work that I've been doing and also because of my identity. So it can definitely be used as a tool instead of being something like to be ashamed of or something that I did not feel comfortable
Mm.
with. So doing that type of work is definitely, it feels like the current work that I'm doing, it feels genuine. It feels like I'm slowly finding the balance between those two forces, like electronic music and acoustic sounds and poetry, it's slowly coming together with this.
All of that is able to just help you tell more stories. You're
Yes.
able to tell more stories and narratives. Because I remember you shared those tapes that you had, and
Mm.
was that in Senegal?
Yes, it was in
Okay.
Senegal.
Yeah, when you're on the photo of you on the floor, surrounded by tapes.
Yeah.
It's such a wild image. When you're working with these archives, are you like, what's your approach? How do you not like your approach creative? I guess it is creative, but yeah, like how do you, because it's a delicacy. I'm thinking about the delicacy of these recordings and
Mm.
how do you approach it to honor these stories?
So I'm still in the process, right? Because until recently, I've been working with museum and their archive, which is colonial archive. So it has a lot, like, it's deep, it's
Yeah,
bloody.
some
It's
stuff in there is getting a little.
yes. So I've been working with those type of archive for like the last 3 or 4 years before I was recording myself. So like building my own
Mm.
archive in a museum. And I felt like, I felt very drained, let me be honest, because the spaces they are held in, the atmosphere around them, and also the history, just the history of the whole process of getting those archives and the people involved in the process. I
Mm.
was just like, let me do this because I know I can enter those spaces, which most of my people cannot. And last year, as I was doing a project in Senegal, I was introduced to this collectionneur from Dakar. And he has 5,000 cassettes of African music that he has been collecting, and his dad has been collecting. And he decided, well, he agreed to sell it to me, which is like, because normally, like, he has been passionate, like, he's still passionate. He has all
I
types
can't
of
imagine anyone who just gives up a collection. Like, it's
people have been asking me this. People have been like, why is he selling it to you? I was like, I don't know, but I'm gonna take it. Like,
yeah, he
why
sees
should I?
something. Yeah, he knows you. Like, he knows you'll take care of it the right way. Yeah.
Exactly. Like the idea really, we talked, and I want to involve him in the process of it. We talked, and the idea is really to like having listening session all over the world with his collection. And the collection will state his name as Nyang. We will stick by it. And now I'm having even a book project coming up. So this agency came up to me from Paris and wanted to produce my work in the form of a book. And
Wow.
I proposed them the collection. So we're gonna do like a collection, the Asnyang collection book, with like, original format
The photos
tapes.
from the yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, is this one of them here?
yeah, this is one of
Oh
them. This is one
wow.
Petit Pays, This is Cameroonian high class, which I think is the 80s. This one is the 80s. I
Wow.
think so. Sometimes they don't even have like dates on it.
It's just so incredible to watch you hold this right now. Like it's like we're
Yeah,
seeing.
it's original, like, and it's in quite good shape. Like, I'm very amazed. He has been taking good care of it. And it's like since 1970 until now. Can you imagine? It's like 40 years of music. And once again, I'm stepping in this space where I can learn so much about music, but also about Africa. And I've been talking to some friends that were like, do you have this person? I'm like, yeah, I got it, and I'm also discovering with them who are those people, And Chalamwana, for example, who is from Congo, but she's known like in South Africa and Zambia and all those countries. Also just discover her through the collection, And those type of wisdom, this type of wisdom is just very much, it's giving me life, more than working with the archive from the museums. So
Word.
I feel very blessed. We're just starting with this collection this year. So the collection is still in Dakar. We also thought about not like bringing it here. We're just going to keep it there. It's at the local library, Avu, and just taking a few tapes for listening session.
At a time, right?
Yes, I have one coming up in next week, actually. Next week, Thursday, here in Berlin. Yes.
You're gonna
Yes.
say, well, yeah, wait, yeah, tell more about how is that gonna happen? Yeah, you gotta share about that. That's dope.
So I've been part of this exhibition called Talking Objects since, I think we've been on it since 3 years. So we started in Berlin, then we went to Dakar, and then the exhibition went to Nairobi, and it's coming back to Berlin. And on the first edition in Berlin, I did a live performance where I recorded, because there was like simultaneously talks happening in Nairobi and in Berlin. So what I did is I recorded the people in Nairobi and the talks also happening in Berlin at the time, and I did a live performance with those recording interwoven. So I kind of weave them together, and made some music, some sound, some singing onto it. It was a lovely process. I really loved it, and I found that for this edition, 3 years later, where I've been working so intensively with like archive, it just feels natural for me now to like, okay, let the others speak and let us all teach. Also, we need to listen more. Let me be honest. I think that we are losing this this sense of listening to ourselves, but also to people, because we are also so constantly surrounded by input in terms of like visual input, but also social media input. So we just brush over a lot of things. So this new project or listening session with the archive, the Asinyang collection, it's very much an exercise in listening, also for myself.
Ooh, that's so fire. That's so fire. I love yeah. It's so fun. I love that you say that actually. It's kind of why I really love the fact that the time difference required me to be
Mm,
up so early
yeah,
because even right now, like I'm hearing my block, it's just waking up. The birds are starting to chirp.
yeah.
The sprinklers, I can hear them going on,
Mm,
and I don't know. There's something really powerful about having and training yourself, but also just practicing listening. Like
mm,
we make sound so much. Sometimes I'd be like, hey, let me just listen to the cars pass. Like let me. I don't even need
yes.
to put something on. Like the world is
Mm,
always singing to us. The world is always
yes,
singing to us.
it is. It is. And what a gift to be able to take that in, right?
Because there are places like you said it. There's places where it's not the same. It's not like maybe it's too noisy, or it's like the metropolitan, or it's too quiet.
Yeah.
You know, it's gotta
Yes.
keep it cool. It's so amazing, so amazing, and I'm really excited to see and experience your work live one day. I saw you were in the States not too long ago with Blacktronica for the Big Ears Festival.
Yes, with King Brit.
Yo, the OG,
Yes.
yo, that's fire.
It was dope. It was such an amazing because of course, like I told you, we started doing Rising Thoughts, my former band, with like Def Jam poetry and all those, so African American culture has been present because also there was nothing else in Germany back then,
Right,
you know?
right,
So that was like a dream come true moment, literally. Like I played with people I have been listening to Digable Planets, Andrew 3000, just
wow,
like crazy heads. They were at the
wow.
same festival as I was. And here I was like, I was intimidated. Let me be honest. I was a
Yeah,
little bit like, yo, for real,
that's fire.
So it was dope. It was dope. So I had my synthesizer and cassettes from the collection also. So I did some poetry on top of it. So what I did is like I played some cassettes that I looped, and on top I made like some poetry or
Mm,
some songs that I had. So it
yeah.
was basically a little bit like a remix version of my last EP, but this time with like archive material from the collection, the ASEAN collection.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
and are
Yeah.
how much of your performances do you offer live, like to watch back? Because I think it's cool because I know like the fact that there's not a lot just in general, like when we don't put like a lot, I know it's
Yeah.
intentional. It's intentional, right? Yeah, like
Yes. Yes. It's because, as you said, it's to be experienced. It's a different thing
yeah,
than watching it. And I realize that it's for promotional purpose most of the time that we record and send it back or post it. And I'm
right.
blessed enough to to be running on fundings because I realize that I can not be focused on marketing that type of work that I'm doing. It's just
Yeah,
about a different type of like connecting with people. Um, the people coming to me are on their path towards healing or discovery, and there needs to be a certain openness already for that type of like work to happen.
right.
And I feel like literally I'm very blessed for that because Germany, but just the German in Europe, meaning Austria and Switzerland, um, they are very well funded in the arts, right?
Uh,
Um, yes. So I navigate my practice with that
yeah,
because I know that if I was to just solely focus on selling, it would disrupt me personally.
thank you for sharing that. That is so real. I think like there's a lot of people who would benefit knowing that those are the paths out there for us, you know?
Yeah.
It's it seems so taboo. It's like all this
Mm,
the
yes.
language, how do you navigate the language and grant writing and
Yes.
proposals and Yeah.
It
So
is
kudos,
quite
kudos
nerve.
to you. I know that's not
Thank
easy
you.
work. Yeah, it's not easy. It takes a lot of time and energy that you have to give
Yeah.
to yourself.
Yes, but it works for me, and I can definitely say that it just has taken away a big, like, because it's also about, like, I was troubled a lot by, like, uh, is this work even, like, necessary? Like, I'm in a German context. Why would they, like, consume African things like that? It's different in America, right? You do have, like, a Black community. Here it's very particular. So at one point I just decided to go down that path, or I was led. It's not like a conscious decision. I was just led
Mm.
to it. And since then, my work has been better. My mental peace has been also better, because there's less fear about
Yeah.
ac- access and being acceptable, and just about, like, I'm just bringing this. I hope you can consume it, and
Yeah.
I hope it can elevate you in some ways. That's literally how I go about it.
Like not having to, you don't have to focus on a product being successful or
Yes,
the partnerships and the let's set this up and oh can we,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
there's a freedom
It's
there
just
and
yes, sir.
you've earned that for yourself, it sounds like.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It has been a journey, because, as I said, first generation immigrants. We don't do arts. You have to do doctor or something serious. You
Right,
don't do art.
teacher, lawyer.
Yes, yes. And I don't have also in terms of support, right? I have a small daughter. I don't have a support system in terms of family and everything. So that was another, like, thing where I was like, okay, I need to be smart about this. I want to continue doing music, but it needs to be different. It needs to be um it needs to incorporate her, for example, like when I'm asked to do something, like a residency or anything of a longer period, I just ask, can my daughter come with me? Because I don't have anybody that would take care of her.
Right.
And it has been working out. Like, most of the time, people say, yeah, that's something very simple, but it's very difficult also. I know that women in the arts struggle with that a lot, like asking for those type of favors,
Right.
especially when they become parents. But it has to, like, they have to make space for you, and how you navigate the thing, or it's not, or it will not work. So I've been able also to ask for what I need to be able to do this work, to my ancestor first also, but also to the system, because that's just how it has to work for me
That's just how,
also.
yeah, hey, I'm showing up. This is me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Elsa, thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank you.
much for sharing. I'm very glad that we found this time. I think I
Yeah,
speak for a lot of folks it's just great to hear you talk about your work and vocalize just so much wisdom that you could feel when you're listening to these things. But I'm like, it's so crazy to just chat with you. Like, what's up? Like, this is dope.
yeah. I'm so
Yeah,
happy. From
it's so dope.
Instagram to
Yeah,
that,
right.
and next we do it physical. We have to meet also in person.
Yeah, no, for real. I know I'm
Yes.
gonna be out there. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm like, because
Cool.
I did get to spend time. I got to spend time in the Netherlands and France for about a month last year, and
Okay.
that was and I'll be honest, that was the first time that I even realized that there was possibilities to travel professionally for this type of work.
Yes.
Out here, everybody it's the it's a different rat race out here. It's like,
Yeah.
the industry of it, the perception of, so much. And I think the biggest thing is just for me, just that knowing of self. Like I love how you include your heritage and so much. Like you talk about how that fueled you. I think, yeah, there's like so much in the States that uh I've been blessed to work around and learn from, and it's like, yeah, I can't wait to see you on your side. I'm gonna be out there soon. Yeah,
Yeah.
come on, it's gonna be fire.
Yes,
Damn, this
definitely.
has been a pleasure.
Thank you very
Go
much.
ahead.
And there are
Don't.
big things. There are big things coming up. So in November, there's this producer festival. I was just asked to be a director of this festival in Cameroon. So that is coming up. We're currently like putting people together to come, and like it's gonna be more like a exchange type of situation. So a producer and beat maker from Africa, but also from the diaspora coming together and exchanging. And then the last 3 days of the 1 week, there are gonna be some concerts showing up the work that I did together.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm currently working on. I put your name on it because fire, you know.
Yeah, I'll come out
So
there and
we're
do
on it.
BTS. I'll come out there and do BTS if anything, let me know how.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to having some dope, Afro-American makers, beat makers, also from Europe. I think we can just create something magical. And also from the African side, with some dope percussions and beats, we can just change the game,
The whole
So
space.
that's coming up,
Yeah.
in November. And that's also big. I'm opening my space in Cameroon next year, which is a bigger thing, actually.
Jesus.
So working on that too.
Incredible.
Yeah. So we're gonna do the exchange thing. It's coming up.
You've got a lot on, like, that's really huge. You've got the rest of your year is booked. Yeah, you're locked
Yes.
in. Yeah, you're locked in. You're locked in.
Yeah, pretty much. But we're focused. We're laser focused. We're
Yeah.
making it happen. Yeah, because there are things that need to be done, and I'm happy to be contributing.
To be able to create a space, to be able to hold space like that and
For
gather.
people, yes, gatherings, I just see like all people from the arts, like even like from the diaspora coming together and mixing up with like African knowledge and just creating something new. And slowly we will create the archive that would then stay there for people to visit and stuff. So I
Oh,
feel very blessed.
like I can
Yes.
see it. Like I see it. Jeez, like you just be sitting there like, just how much time. Like I can't wait. It's like the time doesn't even become a thing anymore when you're moving. You're just doing.
Yes,
Wow.
definitely.
So how do people, I know for me, I know, but for those listening, how do we keep up with you? Where do we find just how to follow you and stay tuned?
Mainly on Instagram, right?
Instagram is the
I
best.
have
Yeah.
Instagram and M'Bala Elsa Tatiana. I think that is the most easiest.
People will be able to find those links and everything. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. Also,
yeah.
thank you.
I'm thinking about also building. Well, I have my webpage also, which is elsam'bala.com,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where also I post some of my work.
Okay. Do you post like you have like a newsletter there as well people can tap in with?
Yes, I used to do that. Actually, I should get back to it. But because I'm not working so much in concert, but like in long-term project, like a residency or something,
Right.
that's why I do it less. But I will get back to it. I
That's
think that
exciting.
will be good.
Well,
Yeah.
I know how to find those links. I'll include those. And
Yes, please do.
please do. Yeah, share. Just keep sharing. If there's whatever else is going on that we can, keep in the circuit, keep in circulation.
Yes, let's do that.
Hopefully, we can keep more
That's,
dialogues like this as well.
yes, we will do that.
Yeah.
Very happy about you reaching out and just making this work.
Yeah. And now it's now the sun's creeping up. I'm get that routine going. You know what I'm saying? Start the day so I catch.
Yes, do that. Get into the vibe. And thank you. Here we have summer, so this is pretty nice. But then normally it's super gray and rough.
Wow.
Yes.
You know what?
But I miss it so much.
If you have like a photo of like a view out there right now, I'll incorporate that into the cover for the show. Yeah, that would be dope.
All right.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
look for one and
Yeah.
I'll send you something. Yeah.
Right,
Or I will just go outside. I will go outside soon
yeah,
and I will send
little
you
something.
a little some. I'll
Yeah,
send you some.
dang, hey, the craziest thing you dropped on me was watching Def Jam poetry. This has just been a lovely conversation. We're gonna keep.
Yes. Oh, I was a big fan. Don't come for me. I was a big fan.
We gonna do this. We gonna keep going.
I was a big fan. I used to love that. I used to like literally like, because they took some down now on YouTube, but
Right.
before
They
they
took
used
some of
to
them
have
down.
like, they used to have like a lot, and I used to study those things, like the whole, oh my God, those was time, like
What was your
15 years.
favorite? Like, what was your favorite off top you could think of? What was your
Black
favorite?
Ice, you remember Black
Mhm.
Ice? I don't
Yeah.
know. He was definitely dope. And of course, Dave Chappelle coming up there. And who is also Yashin Bey. That
Yeah.
was dope. You know.
Classics.
Yeah, classics, And we did not have all the videos, of course, because it was just a few that were put on YouTube, but there were just some also underground people that I never seen elsewhere.
Right. Right.
It was just really, really nourishing. Really. Yeah.
That's fire. It's so good to have you. FTF Radio, FTF Conversations. You got it here. You heard it first. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Drew. See you
Thank you,
soon.
Elsa. See you soon. Peace, peace.
Bye bye.